right, guys, welcome back to another conversation with Chanel's reality. So, today the topic's a little bit, well, I won't say a little bit, it's very controversial um, and divisive. Um, so, we're going to dive right in. So, there's this article that Essence Magazine did, um, and the article really is about colorism and how it plays out on one of Bravo's shows, The Real Housewives of Potomac. And it's something that's been going on, or at least been being spoke about heavily since, I believe, season 5, when Monique Samuels, that was her last season. Um, but that was the season where um, Monique and Candace Dillard Bassett got into a physical altercation. And the Green Eyed Bandits, which I don't even like calling them that, but Giselle Bryant, um, Robin Dixon, actually Dr. Wendy Osefo. She was, I think this was her first season, and she was part of the Green Eyed Bandits. That has changed drastically. Um, but Ashley Darby, I don't think, no, Mia wasn't around. And I'm losing, I can't remember who the other person was. But at the end of the day, it may have been Charisse, but what happened was Monique violently attacked Candace. And after that, at the reunion, Monique, that's an epic reunion. Listen, I don't even like Giselle. Like, I cannot stand her, but I even feel bad for Giselle at that reunion. I was like, well, damn. But Monique went in. I mean, you should watch that whole season if you haven't. If you've never watched Potomac, start from the beginning because it'll help you understand the dynamics of everything moving forward. I feel like Potomac isn't necessarily one of those types of shows where each episode stands on its own. You know what I mean? You kind of have to understand each person's personality to better understand why they're responding a certain way. But anyways, um, so the lighter skinned people, I would say, with the exception of, I want to say Ashley, and I don't like Ashley, but with the exception of Ashley, we're all, prim and proper, and, we don't stand for violence. And I'm raising two black girls to never have to be physical with anyone. This is Giselle, in part, is what she's saying on one of the episodes, and how it's totally unacceptable. Robin chimes in and saying, you almost got me, but then I saw when you went on social media and what you were saying. So things like that. They were just basically totally against Monique. And basically at that point, that's when the icing out of people, at least on Potomac, began, because they did everything they could to get Monique out. And Candace, unfortunately, was the scapegoat. Well, no, Monique was scapegoated for that. They used that one thing, which you should never hit anyone. I don't agree with violence, but I know that that's the reason that they felt like we have a justifiable reason to get rid of Monique. But they really, to be honest, were just jealous, in my opinion, of Monique, and had been probably since day one. I don't know if Robin was jealous per se, but definitely Giselle, because the first time she met the lady, she was just like asking her questions, and then Monique said, "Yo, we're actually looking for a home in Potomac now." And then immediately Giselle, with her just mean girl antics, "You don't have a home?" And then Monique caught her right then and there. She's like, I have 4 homes. Okay, get into it, girl." So she clocked her, and I was here for it every second of it, because she's a mean girl. She just feels like she should haze people. It's not okay. Um, so they couldn't, in my opinion, I think they were very jealous. I would say on some level, probably to Robin, because of some of the, unnecessarily rude things she did. And I think she just didn't like Monique because her bestie didn't like Monique. Honestly, I think that's Robin's biggest problem. Robin doesn't like people when Giselle doesn't like people. That's just how it goes. Um, anyway, let's get back to the topic at hand. So, um, when that happened, and I felt bad for Candace because I think sometimes when you are in the show, because you're not actually watching the episodes like how we're watching, and we can see everything that people are saying behind, your back, and how they're really, sniper snakes, and just what they're giving you in your face isn't who they really are. It's Ashley 101, wolf in sheep clothing. She pretends like she actually looks fun and nice, and everyone else always says she's fun, but she's a snake. It just is what it is. Um, so I felt bad for Candace because she was being used and she didn't realize it, I don't think, at the time. And also it was kind of a double-edged thing because Karen was like kind of riding the fence, so to speak, because Karen is like, I'm friends with both people, I'm not going to take a side. And Candace really needed her to take her side. And I understood that. I do understand it, but I also understand where Karen was coming from. Because Karen is like, you can't tell me who I can be friends with or who I can, which is understandable too. I agree with both people's side. Um, but Candace didn't realize she was being used. And also, they were using Candace again. They wanted her to fall out with Karen, the Grandon. They did. And she didn't know it. And this gave them the prime opportunity for people like Giselle to be like, see, she's not really your friend. Because if she was your friend, she would have, did whatever to Monique. She was being used. And I know that Candace realizes that now after they did what they did to her husband. Okay. I was just trying to catch you guys up for those of you who haven't maybe watched Potomac. Um, it's a lot more to it, so that's why I encourage you to go and watch the season. Let's see. I don't know. My lips are chapped today. I don't know what's going on. Maybe I need to drink some more water. I don't know. Some of this good Burt's Bees. You know. I don't know what's going on. Sidebar. Me and my chapped lips, but it's like 22 degrees outside, so that could also have something to do with it. In Houston, Texas, of all places. Um. So again, back to what I was saying. The Essence magazine came out with this article with all of the things that I said before, and they were really kind of like shining a light, putting a megaphone in front of the very problematic circumstances over at Potomac that Bravo and the people who are benefiting from colorism don't seem to want to change. Why would you? And it's sad that we have to say that, but people who are benefiting from other people's downfall, they don't want to change anything. They don't want to even the playing field. But I'm just going to go ahead and read you guys what I guess Google says colorism is. It says colorism is defined as prejudice or discrimination against individuals with dark skin tone, so someone like me, um, typically among people of the same ethnic, or I don't like that word, ethnic, or racial group. So Black people, this goes all the way back to the days of slavery, where they would have the lighter skinned people in the home, working in the home, taking care of their kids, being wet nurses or cooking their food, because I guess because they were closer to their color, then it was like we could accept them or tolerate them a little more. I don't know. It's crazy. And that, I won't say that's where colorism originated from, but it definitely carries on even still to this day. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. And it's infested in this country. Colorism, and people kill me how they go online. They're like, colorism doesn't exist. You guys need to. I'm like, how is it? If you know that racism exists, colorism is racism's cousin. Let's be very clear, because race isn't even it's a man-made concept. Race refers to a person's features. So full lips, thin lips, full big nose, small nose. Like I said, the pigment of your skin, bigger eyes, squinted eyes. Like that's what race it has been defined as, essentially. But we're part of the human race. But it irritates me when people are like, there is no colorism, especially when they're the people who are benefiting from it. Oh my God, it's such a. But I've learned my lesson, and my lesson is this: the more you try to convince people they're wrong, the more they're going to dig into what they believe is correct. So I've decided, and I've learned over the years to just ask them, why do you feel that way? So then you kind of, put them they're on the offense, they're not on the defense so much. It works. Sometimes it doesn't, but it is what it is. I try. Because I do want to understand why that person would think that way. It's the therapist in me, what can I say? But that's how colorism is defined by Google. So in this Essence magazine article, they talk a lot about how the dynamics of their reality show, The Real Housewives of Potomac, has changed because of the colorism that's happening on the show. Now, my personal opinion about this is we only see so much of the footage, right? We are not them, and nobody could actually tell you what someone else is thinking. We're not telepaths or whatever it is when people can hear your thoughts or something. Xavier X from the X-Men. We're not those people. So you never really know 100% how someone feels about something. You can only go based on their actions and their words. And so I feel as though I feel like Karen, I feel like all the lighter skinned women understand that they have a privilege. I do think they know that. But I also think that they are biased and but it's unconscious on some level. I think it's unconscious for them, and I think the colorism part is unconscious. To me, I liken it to I have a goddaughter, and she's lighter than me. Her mom's lighter than me, and I'm a Leo, so we like the fancy things in life. But at any rate, I think I was going to take her to the American Girl doll store or something, and she was here with me, and I actually was on the phone with one of my friends at the time who has two biracial children. My friend is Honduran, and her kid's father is black. And although she's my friend, she's always been invited to the cookout because she's black adjacent. Okay, shout out to you. You know who you are. What is happening with my lips? I just don't get it. Jesus. Anyway, I'm gonna have to edit this out. So I was on the phone with her talking about probably man problems. I don't know. And I was talking to my goddaughter. She was over here, and we were talking about something about the dolls. And she said something that I don't remember exactly what it was, but I asked her because I never want to tell children what kind of doll to pick. Although in my heart, I want them to pick the brown doll because I want them to feel the brown doll is beautiful too. So you want them to, relate to their own or whatever. Brown people understand what I'm saying. Because growing up, there wasn't a lot of brown Barbie dolls. Let's just be very clear. It was definitely not diversified when I was growing up in the 80s. And so all you saw on TV was the white dolls, and so of course that's what you wanted. You felt like that those dolls were beautiful and stuff like that, and so it's an unconsciousness that happens, and that's why I bring up my goddaughter. But I remember being on the phone with my friend, and I was asking her, I was like, well, why do you want to choose the white doll? And she started saying, because I like that one better and because it's pretty. And I said, well, why? I said, well, why don't you like the darker doll? And she was like, no, because it's not pretty, it's ugly, and this and stuff. And so I was like, but you're darker, and she's not my color. She's lighter than me. Um, she doesn't like the brown one. She's 5 years old at the time that I'm asking her this, and I said, but you're brown, because she's basically saying to me, I don't like it because it's brown, therefore it's not as pretty. I said, but you're brown. You're pretty. Don't you think you're pretty? She's like, yeah, I'm pretty. I was like, your mommy's brown. Is your mommy pretty? Yeah. Same thing with her sister. I wanted her to arrive and kind of like get the brain cells churning in there as to, because it's an unawareness. She doesn't understand that she's choosing that because the commercials have chosen that for her. She doesn't get it, but I want her to start thinking about why she's making those decisions. Now, I bring that up not only to talk about her and the whole issue of color in our community. My friend who's on the phone, who I told you is Honduran, but now has two biracial children, it bothered her because she's very, very conscious now. Now, she and I have been friends for years. And like I said, she's always been invited to the cookout. So she's my people, she's our people. But she still benefits from the light skin situation because she's Honduran and her skin is very, 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 very light. But she does look biracial. You just are kind of confused. You're just like, what are you? Not really sure. Um, but now that she has two brown little girls, she's on heightened alert about everything. And especially because one of her daughters look exactly like her. She's very light, bright, close to white. And then her other daughter, And they're both Leo, by the way, so they have my heart because we're all Leos, and we listen, top tier, bitch. Okay, understand. But so her other daughter is darker skin. Now she's brighter than me, obviously, but she's not as light as her baby sister. They're the same age, they're twins. Um, but they don't look alike. They have two totally different looks, and even hair textures. It's very interesting. But my friend is very on heightened alert when people. Anytime they give the darker skinned child something or don't give her something, listen, sis is not having it. She wants to know, why are you treating her like she feels like, and I have to tell her sometimes, listen, because I've been black my whole life, okay? Everything isn't about that. I promise it's not, but she's on a raised heightened alert. And she's been to a lot of undoing racism trainings with, which I wish they could just put that into every industry so that people could really understand what racism really is and that it's a construct and we don't really have to continue on down that path. Anywho, let me get off my soapbox. Okay, so like I said, Essence is talking a lot about Potomac and what's going on and how it's toxic and it's hard to watch. That's what in part this article is talking about. Um, and they really brought up the idea. So NECA in this season is the newest housewife, and she's Nigerian. She's an attorney, and her husband is like a ER doctor, I think. And apparently they're very successful, right? Young, want to have a baby, that type of thing. And apparently, supposedly, is really wealthy. And so how this ties in is that NECA came on this show, and there was a whole backstory allegedly about Dr. Wendy Elsefo's mom and their family being something. I don't know if it's called Osu. I don't want to get it wrong, but there's this Nigerian within their culture. There's this supposed group of people who basically everyone looks down on, and they're like into witchcraft and stuff like that. And so this Nika girl came on the show, and out the gate, she's just like, your mom sent my name to a shrine and all this kind of stuff. And you have to watch the episode. And everyone who's watched it understands what I'm talking about. But they're basically beating this dead horse. And Aneka, it feels like, from a viewer standpoint, is being used or was brought in like an op. That's what it feels like. It feels like, because how do you come in the door not liking the person that you probably could and would have the most in common with? It's sort of like if you go to a business conference somewhere and you're a female, even if, and you're in a room with 30 other males and two other females, even if those two other females are not even in your culture, maybe they're Asian, maybe they're white, maybe they're whatever, you usually will kind of like beeline to the people because they're your people. Even though you're different colors, we have the same gender. So you'll usually kind of like migrate to those people. And so it really, I think it has thrown the whole audience off because it's like, we thought you would come in and not necessarily be biased towards, the Green Eyed Bandits and whomever else, but we would think that you would want to have, that you would automatically on some level have a good relationship with Dr. Wendy Osefo, simply because y'all from the same culture, from the same country. You're both well-to-do people in America, smart, intelligent, and very accomplished. So y'all would have so much in common. That's what I think people like me and the other audience members are thinking, or the viewers are like, what is happening? So it feels very much like we can't get Wendy Osefo out on our own because everybody keeps saying it's colorism, and if Wendy gets iced out, it's because she's browner than everybody else. Not, and so it feels like they want to make sure that when Wendy goes, either willingly or is terminated, that it doesn't fall back on them. That no one can say it was us because we have another dark skinned lady over here who also doesn't like Wendy. So even if that's not the case, the optics, listen, that's the way it's looking. It's looking bad for them. And the thing is, I don't even think they care. I think they don't care. Just like I don't think they cared that they iced out Monique, and then the very next season, because they iced out Monique because she was violent, but then their other light skinned friend on the show was violent towards another dark skinned lady, Dr. Wendy Osefo, and suddenly it's fine. She deserved it. She was, what did Robin kept saying? Antagonizing her. What? She threw a whole drink on this lady and hit her with a purse. What are you talking about? You don't find a problem with that. And so that's why I think a lot of viewers feel the way that they feel, because it's just like it feels like a setup. Where did this come from? Sorry, that's my dog. Where did this come from? Like, how did you suddenly flip? Last year you were saying, or 2 years ago you were saying, there is no way. I'm raising daughters that are brown, and we've in Potomac been able to keep our head and keep. It's nonsense. It's malarkey, and they need to stop. So, like I said, the Essence magazine, I think it's really honing in on why are you making this cultural, religion based, I guess, storyline of the primary storyline. Essence feels like, and allegedly, just based on my opinion of what they wrote in the article, that it's toxic and it's intentional. And they feel like it's wrong to do that to a whole culture of people and basically put it out here for all of the world to see, but primarily in America. And it's not doing any good for the Nigerian culture. You know, it to me, my personal opinion is y'all should come on here and be bosses that y'all are. Y'all are attorneys, you're doctors. Y'all should be over here just flossing and getting on private jets and wearing Fendi and Chanel and showing everybody how to do it, honey. That's what should be going on. But it's not. What's going on is seems like a plot and a twist. What do they say? That that Todd set up for her to come with you to the with the bullshit. Anyway, so that's primarily the focus, I feel like, of the Essence magazine. But here's my thing. This is the problem that I have. The biggest problem that I have a few problems, but the biggest problem that I have is that last year they had a conversation about colorism. I think it was last year or maybe the year before, but I think it was last year. And Andy said, well, we asked the ladies, because I'm not qualified. I'm a white Jewish man. Okay. So I'm not qualified to do it. What they wanted to have done, how they wanted to address it, which is to me, error number one. Fire trucks, red flags that are the size of fire trucks should have been going off. Why? Andy's right. He shouldn't be involved because he's a white Jewish man. No shade to the white Jewish man, but you're white, so you don't understand. You're not impacted by racism the way you might be impacted by bigotry, but not racism, not because of your color. Okay, so you're not qualified to talk about it unless you're an expert, which you already said you're not. Okay, the other part is you're a man, so it's also racism and what's the other word? Privilege. Men have privilege. Even black men have privilege over black women. Let's be very clear. So that still happens too. So you have a privilege being a man and especially being a white man. So you don't need to be a part of this conversation. But even if we take Andy out of it, who they should have started with is this is a Bravo issue, right? If you have any type of ism going on at your job, you are supposed to go talk to HR, right? They're the employer. They're supposed to be the intermediary, right? They're supposed to be the unbiased party, even though we know they're not unbiased. But they're supposed to be. So you're supposed to follow your directions. You don't go and say, hey, y'all go work this out. Not with something like this. You can work it out over somebody stole my lunch out the refrigerator, or she isn't getting her work done in time, which is impacting my work. Y'all can work that out. Okay? She stole my parking spot. Racism, it's been going on since the beginning of time. So that's not something that you can just be like, oh, y'all work it out. The other thing that's very wrong with that decision is it's like 5 lighter skinned women against 2 dark skinned women. So it's not a fair ratio. So even if you said, because this is what he said, we let the women vote. You let them vote? It's like, we let the women vote, but they're outnumbered, so the vote doesn't matter. Be very clear. They're completely outnumbered. So it wouldn't be a fair ballot anyway. So that knocks that whole idiotic comment out of the way. And then the other thing is this. I mean, just even beyond all that, like take all of the stupid, ignorant stuff that they had. The king cobra of stupid and irresponsible to me in this scenario is if you have one brain cell, you don't need a whole lot, just one. I think you would be able to say, Us asking the people who are receiving the mistreatment, so the dark-skinned people who are treated differently, to address the people who are mistreating them is ludicrous to me. They're not in charge of ending colorism on Potomac. Bravo is. Let's not get it twisted. That's who's in charge. They're Bravo, NBC, Truly Original, all of those people are your employers. They're in charge, not the employees. Not with this type of topic. So that's the megawatt. Like it's adjacent to saying, oh, you're asking a victim of sexual assault or a victim of SA to then go and have a conversation with the person who's SA'd her or who's R'd her or him. You want me to go have a conversation with the person, with the perpetrator? Do you really think the perpetrator is going to take any type of responsibility for their actions? They don't even see anything wrong with their actions. They certainly are not going to take. I cannot. That's why I say it's just like, does anybody have a brain cell over there? Like, I cannot. I cannot. It's just like, where is y'all's logic? I just can't. And then I really can't with the people who are online are like, Candace, y'all had an opportunity and y'all sat there and said nothing. Again, if you put the victim in front of the perpetrator and said in court and say, point him out and talk to him, people that aren't even in this particular type of situation don't want to do it. It's traumatic. I can't. And they don't feel like it's traumatic and they don't feel like it's a big problem because I'm saying how people think. These people are well off and they're getting a nice check and this is just for a show and it's entertainment. It is, at the end of the day, still someone's life. I still get here's the thing. Y'all watch Beverly Hills. Dorit and Garcelle are having this issue that Dorit's been having for a while. She has a problem with Garcelle and she is very biased and she doesn't realize it. So they were having a conversation a few episodes ago and Garcelle said something to Dorit about I think you're just trying to embarrass Sutton because of something. And Dorit, at some point, it's like, because you attacked me. And it's like, girl, she didn't attack you. She didn't raise her voice. She didn't get up. She didn't gesture. She didn't do anything. And so when they go the next day or whatever to have lunch to kind of discuss it, because Dorit, don't even get me started on her. But she didn't understand it because don't get me started on Dorit. But when they have the conversation the next day, she's just still so tone deaf because one of her rebuttals is, Garcelle, I'm a member of a marginalized group. I'm Jewish. So I understand. Girl, stop it. A hard stop. Let me tell you why. Yes, you are Jewish. And Jewish people have a very traumatic history. Their ancestors have a very traumatic history. And I'm sure there's still things going on today. It doesn't stop just because people make laws or the war ended. So I understand that. But let's be very clear. If I walk into the Saks Fifth Avenue, I'm walking in as a black woman first. Be clear. If Dorit walks in, she is walking in as a white woman, not as a Jewish woman, because they don't know that. They automatically know I'm black. But they don't know that Dorit is Jewish, so they're going to treat her just like every other, white person that comes and give her all of the same privileges that just a normal white woman would get. I walk into the Saks. What shows up is I might be a thief. I might be uneducated. I might have been on welfare. I probably got 3 baby daddies. That's what shows up. Even though I actually have 3 college degrees, 2 of them are masters. Let's be very clear. I'm very successful. Not a violent person, not a criminal, married for going on 18 years now to a man who's also successful and brown like me and tall and hot. Just saying. Who also hasn't done a crime in his life. But we still show up as all of those things. Dorit shows up in that Saks Fifth Avenue, and she's seen as unproblematic, agreeable, probably comes from a 2-parent home, probably has manners, is not going to be a thief. She shows up very differently. But in Dorit's mind, she shows up as Jewish, and she doesn't. That's why she even gave in. It's just like, you just want to shake her. Like, girl, you sound ignorant and I can't. Well, she is ignorant. Let's just be very clear. And I don't hate you to read if you ever watch this video. I don't. I just think you're so unaware, and the problem is you won't listen. Like, just shut up and listen. You don't need to respond. You don't need to reply. What you need, to me, what you need to do is what you should have done is taken all the information in that Garcelle gave you and said, you know what? Give me a moment. You didn't have to say it to Garcelle. You can say it to yourself. I need a moment to digest this information. Let me go talk to my mom's best friend who's black. That's what Dorit said. And ask her. Like, try to get a better understanding, because you're probably not going to get the best understanding from the person that you said attacked you, and she didn't attack you. So she's still probably pissed over here. Like she said, she came and she was crying on it. Like, it's just a mess. So don't go back to her. Just let her say what she needs to say, sit with it, and then try to figure out a way forward that, you're not going to have that same reaction, response, or behavior in the future. Or you'll use different words. What else did I want to say about colorism? There's so many glaring examples on Potomac with the colorism topic. You have, I think this was season 2, where Robin and Giselle went to Ashley's Australian restaurant, and Robin was basically putting her hand, in Ashley's face and getting in her face and being very aggressive. Robin has never been called aggressive. They both were being however they were. Ashley's never been called aggressive. They went in there like bullies to start a fight. Those words haven't been used to describe them. Why is that? Candace sits on that couch, and they every single reunion go in on her, how she's so this and that on Twitter. But they're this way in person. You're on Twitter with a whole bunch of people that don't know you and you'll probably never meet. These people you know, and you treat them that way. And it goes unresolved. Nobody says a thing. Robin got all inside of Monique's face with that. It's the umbrella scene. And Monique was like, yeah, you want me to hit you? She's like, get out my face. What Monique tell her? Get out my face before I choke you out with this umbrella. But then she was like, no, I ain't gonna do that. I know you want me to hit you because so you can sue me and have all your dreams come true. I was just like, I died. I died and came back to life. I was like, oh my God, I cannot. Because it's probably true. But so there's that. Nobody said anything about how Robin was, behaving and how she was being the aggressor. It just wasn't a topic. And there are some other things that have gone on where Ashley's called, Wendy ferocious, and it's just things that they hone in on that are unproblematic. It's like microaggressions. They say things. It's like a dog whistle to people that will understand it, and then they'll go in on Dr. Wendy or Candace or whoever it is that they're wanting to ice out that year. But the most recent one was in Miami in last season when Mia decided to throw I guess a martini or something, some sort of beverage onto Dr. Wendy Osefo because she didn't like what she said. You need to use your words. You don't need to use your hands. I mean, I'm going to say this. I don't agree with violence of any kind unless it's to protect myself, my children, my husband, somebody like that, my parents. It is what it is. We all going to jail today. But just some person that I'm my coworker, I'm not about to fight you. I'm a whole grown person with shit to lose. I'm not doing that. You go do that with your people. I'm not doing that. No, I'm not doing that. I'm not. What Wendy say? I'm not messing up my good week. But I bring up that because Wendy literally was attacked twice. Robin gets on her cell phone and she's filming, and she's basically saying she really is being an antagonist, but she's calling Wendy that she's telling Wendy to stop antagonizing Mia. Girl, you're the one that's being the antagonist. I Wendy Osefo am being attacked. I have already been attacked, and you're telling me that I'm being an antagonist and I need to stop. But you didn't say anything to Mia. You didn't tell Mia to sit down. You didn't tell Mia, how dare you hit her or throw something on her. But you have a problem with me defending myself? That's what I'm talking about. It's the difference in how you're treated. Wendy was the victim, and she was iced out that whole trip. They didn't want her at the house. She had to go stay in another hotel. They didn't want her at any of the events that they were having or activities. It's so blatant. And it's so annoying when you get people who are like, I don't want to, I'm tired of talking about racism, or they're using a race card. Let me just come to the front. Come to the front, all of y'all who say you're tired of talking about racism and it happened 14,000 years ago. Come to the front. We, brown people like me, we are tired of living in a racist society. Try it. Try waking up every day and having to do everything different and calculate how you're going to do everything because you might be taken in a different way simply because your skin color is different. You may be, someone's going to assume you're lazy because you're brown, or you don't have any education because you're brown, or any substance because you're brown, or you're a criminal, you're violent, all of these things. We're tired of having to defend ourselves, having to choke it down and swallow it down and educate people and ignore the BS and overlook microaggressions. We're tired. So you being tired, just shut up. No one wants to hear that. What I want you to do is be anti-racism. Not, I'm not a racist. Be anti-racism. That means you are going to do everything in your power to end racism. Right? So anytime you see it happening, blatantly or otherwise, consciously or otherwise, you're going to call it out and we're going to address it. That's what anti-racists do. They don't sit around and complain about how it's annoying that we have to talk about racism. And that's including the people who are in my community, who are very, very fair-skinned or who are biracial and feel like, well, I don't want to talk about it. That's because you, not all of you, but there's a good majority of those people, I believe, if you polled them, they could tell you that they probably got treated differently because they're biracial, so they don't fit in this group and they don't fit in another group. They're too much this, they're not enough of that. I do get that. But what I want you to do is, and I support you standing up and saying that's wrong, 100%. But we're not talking about that right now. We're talking about how dark-skinned people or browner-skinned people are treated. That's what we're talking about. So when you come to the front and you say things like, well, what about us? We're not doing the whataboutism, and this is not an all lives matter moment. It's like you don't go to a breast cancer convention where the focus and the attention should be on breast cancer survivors, their loved ones, so on and so forth, talking about brain cancer. Is brain cancer important? Absolutely. I'm not going to minimize the people who are suffering from brain cancer. But at my breast cancer convention, I don't want to hear about brain cancer. We can talk about that tomorrow on your day or whatever. But today is my day. So don't interrupt me and don't tell me I'm taking up too much time and that I need to focus on something else. I don't want to hear none of that. When it's your time to talk about brain cancer and you have that convention, I'm going to come and support you. And I'm not going to talk about my breast cancer at your brain cancer convention. Stop it. Now, if you want to have a conversation about how biracial people are treated, that's definitely a conversation we can have. But that's not the conversation we're having today about dark-skinned women and how we're treated. We're not doing that today. So, and if you're just joining us, we're talking about Potomac and how Essence wrote an article about the problematic behaviors and the problematic things that are going on Potomac, the Real Housewives of Potomac. That's a reality show on Bravo that I've been watching since season 1. And if you haven't watched it, I would encourage you to watch it from season 1 so you could better understand why so many people feel the way they feel about people like Giselle or Robin or Ashley or anyone. People feel a certain way about Candace. They hate her. I don't hate anyone. But there's always a group of people that a pocket of people that it doesn't matter who you are, they're going to wake up to find a problem with you. And honestly, I think finding fault is a disease of our nation right now. It's sad, but that's all people do, especially with social media. They wake up and let's get on the social media and just harass people. I don't get it. I'm like, what does that do for your life? I just want to see, is there anything else that I wanted to talk about that I missed? That's it, I think. I really do encourage you guys to go and read the article that Essence put out. I also encourage you to go watch Potomac, so you can watch it from the beginning, so you can kind of see the progression of where it started, where it was actually a good kind of light-hearted show. Well, let me take this back. I'll give you this one little thing. Season 1, if we want to be real, that's where the colorism started. There was a cast member named Katie. And Katie, I think her father's white and her dad's, no, her father's white and her mom's black, I believe. And one of the promo trailers for Potomac talked a little bit about that. It was kind of like Giselle saying stuff like, you act like it was a problem to be black or something like that. So they basically, Giselle and Robin especially, are going in on Katie, and they want her to pick a side. Are your kids white or are they black? And to me, that's gross. Like, just, I could just shake them. But that's where it started, at least for me on this show, because that was season 1. And the whole season, they harassed her about what she is, and she's Jewish and all this. It was horrible. But the majority of the show wasn't that. So I think that's kind of why we could kind of stomach it. And I think it was this town that no one has really heard of, Potomac. We've heard of Washington, D.C., but not necessarily. I had never heard of Potomac. So I didn't know I'm just like, okay, I'm interested. And then you have these beautiful women on here, and it's like, oh, okay. I do want to, because I'm interested in, and I'm fascinated with the lives of the wealthy, because I want to be wealthy one day. I actually live like I am. I know my husband be like, stop it. Like, where is the Saks card, okay? But that's it. I do want to say, though, I hope we can give Nneka a one more season, because I don't think she realized how used she's been, unless she... Why is my husband being so loud while I'm trying to... Anyway. If she is a Bravo plant, then yeah, she can go. But if she truly came in because she thought that, she believed whatever her cousin or cousin-in-law said about Wendy's mom and all that, because I do believe she believes whoever told her about the whole witchcraft and Wendy's mom and whatever. Because that's the thing that I don't understand. I'm like, why are you mad at Wendy exactly? Wendy's not responsible for her mom's behavior. She's not. It's just a fact. She's not responsible for her mom's behavior. So if it was me, I would have came to Wendy and said, hey, listen, because I don't want to disrespect your mom, I want to talk to you about some things that happened. That's grown woman behavior, by the way. I want to talk to you about some things that are being told to me. Nneka, come to the front, girl. This is how you do it. I want to talk about some things that have been brought to my attention, and I don't want to believe these things. And I know we're going to be on this national platform, and I want to make sure we're good. But these are some things that are problematic for me. And have that conversation. And then y'all can come on Bravo and be boss bitches. That's all. You see, listen, I'm giving you free advice. Over here at Chanel's Reality, she's giving you free advice. Anyway, guys, I want you to make sure to like this video, please. Hit the like button, subscribe, hit the notifications button as well, so you'll be notified when Chanel is back on her show to talk about something. So until next time, y'all have a good one. Bye. See you next time on Chanel's World. Why do I do that? See you the next time on Chanel's Reality.